How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to the Half-Ass Garage, where we're doing more XJ stuff today. So it's been a minute since I've taken a video. A lot of time-consuming stuff was going on. Floor pans, just parts gathering, U-joints, carpet cleaning, stuff like that. So I will show you what I've gotten done so far. But a disclaimer, I had to put floor pans in it, or partial floor pans on the passenger side. My welder is a piece of garbage, my MIG welder. So this is it. The crap Turbo Weld 100 EN. You know, it's 115 volt wall, you know, standard power, and it really just isn't a very good welder. So these are the only controls on it, which are small boogers, kind of larger boogers, burn right through everything, basically burn through everything. So those are the only things that it does. It's like tack weld, blow everything up. So that being said, the welds aren't awesome, but they're in there and they don't leak. So I've got a little bit of an issue right here with the wiring. I need to splice that in today. Forgot about that, so I'm going to take care of that in a bit. Needed a small patch right here. Needed a patch up in there. And then the passenger side is the worst. Now keep in mind, this welder's a piece of junk, so I'm pretty embarrassed by these welds, but there's really nothing I can do about it. And I don't have $800 or $900 for a new welder. So that being said, this is just kind of what I made. Had to glob it in. It just, man, it just doesn't want to weld right. Ah, man. But they're solid. Ain't going anywhere. All the holes are filled up, and it's good to go. So it'll be under carpet anyway. If it was not, I would have TIG welded it. If it was a body panel or something like that, I would just use my TIG welder, but it would be really difficult to get all in there with a TIG, so I just booger welded it all up. So I got a U-joint right here. It's the only new U-joint that I'm gonna use right now because, well, maybe I won't be using it. So on this drive shaft, one of the caps was completely missing on it, so had to throw some heat on it and pop it off. The rest of them will be good enough. They move around okay, you know, so they'll be fine. The carpet out here, I degreased it with some simple green and power washed it. So that took a while to power wash, believe it or not. It was really dirty. I was hoping it would come out a little bit cleaner, but you know, whatever. It's better than it was by a lot. So that's good. Maybe it won't smell so gross. It's still really wet. And then what else? Oh, fuel tank wise, we're going to take care of that today. I have to make the seat mounts, so I'm going to sit the seats in here and figure out where the mounts are, because these seats mount in from the front. I've got a tube of seam sealer right here, which I'm going to go over top and bottom on this right here and seal that up. I bought this kooky stuff, Permatex rust treatment. Destroys rust on contact. So underneath where there might be some rust starting, I'm going to grind that down and then hit it with some of this. I'll have to read the instructions. I've never used this stuff before. Today I'm going to take off this plate here and put in the four-wheel drive shifter. So that should be pretty fun. Get to kind of fix up all of that stuff and worry about all the rest of the junk that's going on in here. It's kind of a mess. So wiring, four-wheel drive shifter, gas tank. That's the plan for today, and I'll just let everything else dry. I'll throw some paint on here real quick. This copper stuff is copper weld through coating. So if you've never used or aren't familiar with what weld through coating is, it's essentially like a spray paint, but it has metal particles in it. So if I didn't have access to the back side of this you know, panel anymore, like there's a channel that runs down through here, you might have saw it in the other video. So on that, I can't get back in there afterwards, so I would spray down that whole center section anywhere that I'm going to weld to, and then whenever I weld, it doesn't burn off paint like would normally happen and then allow rust to basically attack the steel. It kind of melts together and fuses to make a rust-proof barrier. That's the idea behind it. So under here where that ridge is and underneath this pan was all painted with this rust-proof or the weld-through coating, and then I just went ahead and went over it for a little bit of protection to see if it could seep into whatever pores this garbage weld might have left. So that's the idea. Kind of got everything all cleaned up. A lot of this stuff is going to end up getting just washed, and that's kind of it for now. I think I showed you my my plan for the exhaust manifold where this was crushed. I just made this little thing up. I haven't had a chance to really get to it. Oops, sorry. So you might have saw my exhaust manifold flange adapter jig deal that I made up. So I've got this roughly round, a little bit more work to do on it, and then I'll start working on getting the exhaust cut for it. I might just do a straight pipe for right now. What else? Bunches of stuff. So I can't think of it all right this second. I probably need to make a list like smart people do. But I got more than enough little odds and ends kicking around here to keep me going for the day. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll just bring you back whenever I've got some stuff done. Because turning wrenches and power washing stuff, you know, I don't want, 45 minutes of that garbage. So, I don't know. Do you want to see that? Let me know in the comments if you want all of the stuff. All of the, like, wrench turning and sanding and grinding and all that stuff. Let me know in the comments what you want to see, and if that is what you want to see, I'll take the extra time to shoot it and edit it all together. So I'll see you in a bit. Oh, I did forget to mention these axles. So here are the axles that I got with the truck. So they're not in the greatest of shape, but there's a part number of some kind. So anyway, they're not in the greatest of shape, but they are high pinion. So high pinion, they're decent axles. I don't think there's a tab on it. Yes, there is. Yes, is that it? I'll have to look. That might be the gear ratio tab. I'll have to get in there and look. It's different than the tabs that I've seen, if it is that. I don't know if that's a strap or the actual tab for the ratio, so I'll have to get in there and see. I don't know on these Jeeps. Yeah, I don't know on these Jeeps. I've never done this much work on one, and I've never swapped axles on one before. So I'll kind of grind that off, or sand it down rather, scuff it up with a wire brush, see if these are even the same ratio, because I don't know if they're even the same ratio. This is how I got these things. Along with that, like, they're just sitting out. So, I don't know anything about them. Anywho, that's that, and we will just kind of get to it. But you can see that the carpet came out quite a bit better than it looked before, and hopefully it'll smell a lot better. Anyway, so that's the update, and yeah, I'll kind of show you cool stuff whenever I get cool stuff done. It's a sad day today, brothers and sisters. Man down. Man down. I have to epoxy it. That joint right there is super weak for some reason. But luckily, what's up? JBL to the rescue. The Expanse is a great book. So, moving on to real stuff. I'm going to make my seat bracket out of the DP Ergo Track 4. There you go. Made in the good old US of A back in the 90s. This was a treadmill of some type, but good steel is still good steel. So I'm going to just fold those tabs back a tad bit and drill the holes. So I'll measure what I need to. This will be the driver's seat. Skirt is on the left side, and so are the controls for seat rest. So that goes, those tabs bolt to the back on the floor, so that's where those will go. And then this is going to be my front rest, so I'll just measure the distance here, see what it looks like, and then measure the width of the floor pan in there, cut this, weld some nuts on the back of it, and we are good to go. Then I will have seats for the front. So that's the deal on that. Shouldn't be too hard. I thought about standing it up, but then it pitched the seat up so much it was a super comfy bucket then because it was up so high. But I don't know what that would be like long term to have it up like that. So instead I'm going to do it flat like that. So this doesn't look like it's a whole lot shorter than the original stuff that was in the Jeep. Definitely a little bit. I believe that the rib that is in these trucks with this style seat is probably another ½ an inch or so higher than what we've got, but it's still back on enough of an angle that I feel comfortable that it won't be too awfully bad. So yeah, we'll stick it on in there and try it, but I have sat in it the way that it is, and that should be how it would sit in the truck, and it feels all right. So we're gonna go with that. So a little bit of measuring, a little bit of cutting, and I'll show you at the end what it looks like. I bought the ugliest daggum welding hat that I've ever seen in my life. So it was on sale, and it was the only one in my size. So as horrible as it is, it's reversible. So I guess I could go hunting with it if I hunted, but anyway, this is the most hideous thing. And I couldn't resist buying it for the price. So it's the same brand as my other welding hat, and this is kind of my go-to, but whenever I wash that hat, I still want to be able to not have grease and junk all in my hair. So these are also the best thing that I found when I work underneath the car and stuff, or underneath anything, because the bill like folds up. It's so soft that it doesn't pop off my head or, you know, I don't know, just doesn't interfere at all. So that's what I like about them, and they're pretty cheap. So today we're going to address the seating thing here. So this is one of the holes for the seat mount, and then there's the other one. So on this one I cut a piece of steel. Actually, I don't know where that piece that I cut actually is, but it's this. 1/8 inch. It might be a little bit bigger if it's metric. Excuse me. So this is one of my seat mounts. It's going to go underneath the car on the floor, and then, you know, that'll be the only support that I've got. I'm not really sure what the other Jeeps actually used, like how they mount the seats up with rigidity. But here is also an idea I had. Oh, it's kind of got pinched, so I need to loosen this and move it over. So this was also a mount that I made. Oh, sorry, you can't see. So this is also a mount that I made for this side. So the one is right here. It's just another bar of steel that goes across. And we'll tie in here. This one, you can see this seat mount goes across, and then that's where the seat belt would bolt in. So what my plan is, again, I don't know how these things from the factory worked. There's probably a totally different type of a system, but loosen this up and slide it over and it'll kind of pop into there. And then weld it here, weld it across this, you know, this side looks just like this side, obviously. So I ground this clean. I'm just going to put a bead down there, one here. Before I do that, you know, I'll put the weld through coating all on the inside, so it should keep it from rusting. And that's my plan, unless I can think of something better. There you can see more holes from rust. So, man, it sucks that these ribs are here and I don't have a bead roller, but I'll still make it work. That'll just be flat, you know, it'll just be, you know, flat steel. So anyway, I'm going to cut that out and then make a new patch, weld it in there with the Booger Welder 9000 and call it a day. It might be easier or smarter for me to modify the seat brackets that I've got. Yeah, it might be easier for me to modify. This is passenger side, yep. So maybe I should instead adjust these. I don't know. I don't know what the pros and cons of that would be. This metal here is so thick that I know my welder will weld that. So maybe what I need to do is flip this over this way, or cut it here and just move the entire thing onto this side. Can you see it? I can't tell. So here is the underside of the passenger seat, which I'm working on. I should actually measure this up to see if I can move these brackets around in here at all, and maybe take this one and flip it over. So if we look at this, the way that this is the passenger's seat mount that was in it, guess it would go in this way. So yeah, maybe that, well, I don't think that's still even going to move over enough. Yeah, I still don't think I would have enough. Or I can weld a tab right across here. Well, I still got to bolt it to the floor. So yeah, I guess reinforcing the floor is still my best bet. That's what I fabbed up to hold the front. It'll be good enough. It's nice and strong, and it goes down to the ridge that rib that goes in there. You can kind of see where I spot welded it, just right there. So it goes in here. Here are the original bolts. So that's in place. That's good. It's nice and strong. Doesn't look great, but you know, it'll work. Crappy welder. On this side though, there's just no support. So I'm gonna just try to make a support and hope for the best. So in the event of an accident, we're relying a lot on the seat belt anyway, and you come off of the seat. I've never seen a seat get torn off of the floor. So, I mean, I don't think I need to build this stuff like it's a tank right here, because, you know, again, all of your weight is going to be lifting, and the seat belt's going to catch most of that. So as long as the front is nice and sturdy, you know, the back I don't think is going to flip up a lot, and what I've designed or cobbled together I think will be more than strong enough to hold it. It's not going to rip this sheet metal all forward just by the seat. And if I get hit hard enough that it tears the actual floor off the Jeep, chances are I've got bigger problems than just that seat. So anyway, I see a pinhole there. You see it? See the light? Damn it. So anyhow, I'm going to get to cracking away on this, and of course I can't take you in there and let sparks fly all over your lens and destroy it. So I'll just show you when I'm done. I already showed you how I cut my patches and make them. It's really the same thing as before. I use a Sawzall for some of it, and I use a regular cutoff wheel for the rest. Now this nibbler is just not up to the task. So for thinner stuff this works okay, but it is not a brand name by any means. I got that again in the 90s. You know, a lot of these tools are older. Some of them work great, some of them are garbage. But you know, this is what I use to cut my patches, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'll see you later on. Do I got my, oh yeah, I got my new awesome one. So I'll see you in a bit. Always good time welding. Sucks. So anyway, still got a few little pinholes, but you know, I'll tell you what, at this point I would have rather just spent any amount of money on floor pans to avoid doing all this. So another issue with my favorite welder in the entire world is that this knob twists. So as you use the welder, it tightens up on here until your feed doesn't work anymore. So it's slowly, your feed basically just slowly goes down and down because it's just being tightened against this. So what happened was, which is lots of fun, is this thing tightened up and I loosened it up and it just broke free and unraveled almost the whole spool, like super far. So to give you an idea, I straightened it out. I just kind of took the spool and unraveled it, and it was all the way past the end of the fence, about 10 feet, 5 feet. So all of that room, I just rolled it back up and then made this awesome mod here. Drilled a hole through the knob, put a piece of mechanics wire on it, drilled a hole through the back of the welder. Now it can't back off. So there you go. Fixed. Piece of junk. So I've got, I'm pretty sure, the last holes welded up in this. So it's taken a really long time, and they look like garbage, of course, because whatever. This metal is really thin too. Extra thin. Even the good stuff is not super thick. So I don't know what thickness of metal Jeep used, but it doesn't really feel super thick. Very difficult for me to weld, and that is that. So it's taken a lot longer than I had hoped. I was hoping that I could get the floor mount, or the seat mount, in today, but wasn't able to do that. So the next day that I have available for this, I'm going to make that floor mount, and then we'll go and seam seal it all and hopefully just move on. Just be done with this welding crap. This sucks. So anyway, I'll come out tomorrow and I'll just continue making this video, or not tomorrow, soon, and then I'll just continue on and we'll make up the other seat mount, the one for this one. So I'll see you tomorrow. Now my booger welds there, they're gonna be fine. I'm not gonna worry about it. I was toying with the idea of grinding this stuff off, the seam sealer, and just potentially coating the bottom of this floor in epoxy. So there's some little pinholes here and there, and you know, look around. I don't want to spend 6 months welding this floor in just to have the transmission go out on this the first, you know, 2 days that it's driving around, or who knows what else. So I'm going to call this good enough. I will coat certain spots of it with epoxy, underside and top. That will just seal up any pinholes and this and that and the other thing. I think I mentioned before, if this thing ends up like really being a good truck, everything, it doesn't give me any problems and it's fun, does well on the trails, then I'll worry about doing different things to make it better. You know, maybe eventually it'll get floor pan in it, like a real one, and suspension and different things like that. Overall, it's in decent shape. So we'll worry about that stuff later. So for right now, I'm going to just ignore all of this and then worry about building the seat mount for the other side. So that's on the agenda for today. I can see one little pinhole of light right there on my weld. I don't know if you can see a little star blinking there. Anyway, so there's bunches of those around here, which is another reason why I want to epoxy coat it, because it's way easier than going through and trying to find every single little pinhole. Hopefully I can get a new welder sometime soon. And then this has to come out today, the radiator, because I have to return it tomorrow. I'm pretty close to the deadline where I can't exchange this radiator for a different one. So I'm going to pull that out today and get it ready to go over tomorrow, and go to the pull apart and try to find a better radiator, one that works. So that's what we're doing today. Anywho, I'll just come back later. I'm sure you don't want to see me pull a radiator. Maybe you do. Like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see. Alright, well, we had a casualty. As I was squeezing between here and there, I knocked off the old Cherokee emblem. But really, I'm happy that I knocked it off here. Not that they're hard to find, but at least it didn't fall off on the road somewhere or on the trail, and then it would be gone. So I'm over here coming up with an idea for this seat mount, and it looks like I need to move this over just a tad bit. So I need to grind off my little tack weld right there. But my grinder has seen better days. So here is the state of my DeWalt grinder, which I like a lot. It feels really good and it works really well. So this tape that you see here is from the 90s for sure, or early 2000s. It's just the sheet, what you call it, the jacket of the wire itself has just gotten old and brittle and cracked. So anyways, I'm going to take this thing apart and put a new cord on it. Then I won't electrocute myself. Yeah, look at how just old and crusty it is. So anyways, that's the plan, and then we'll get back onto the Cherokee stuff. Alright, so let's drain out this tank. Got me a cat litter thing, my electric fuel pump. It's got this length of junk here hooked up to this. Let's see if I can actually do this with one hand. Hold it, guys. I still have to be able to move that fuel line thing around. Anyway, turn on the old pump. There we go. Alright, well, there's some of the gas. That's all I could get out. And then my fuel pump either died because it's really old, or I sucked some junk up in it. So I reversed the polarity on the pump and I'm still getting nothing, so I'll have to just take it apart and clean it. I did notice on this tank that there's a bunch of rust basically halfway up this part of the tank top part. It's got a lot of rust in it, so I'm going to have to de-rust that somehow, and maybe some some light acid or vinegar, flip it over, I don't know, figure something out, because that one at least doesn't leak. But I'll have to find a different way to dump out all that fuel. Got the radiator out, so got a little bit of water around, no big deal, it's okay. So looking at it, I'm assuming that this is my problem right there, I'm guessing. So I'm not entirely sure where it is, where it's leaking from. But I guess somehow I must have missed that one row or whatever getting dinged up. So I'm guessing maybe there's just a puncture right down in there. Anyway, I'm gonna take this radiator back tomorrow if I can, and then pick up another one and then stick it in there. Hopefully that one won't leak, and then I can continue on being able to move the truck around and stuff. So that's the plan. Long day. It's dark out again. Anyway, it's getting late. I'm gonna go in. I'll catch you on another day.